Hey everybody, SouthernBubba here. I must apologize to all of you guys. I have lost my mojo with videos. I haven't really been doing a whole lot. Just kind of lost interest. But I'm going to try to get myself back into it and might take the channel in a little bit different direction. But I have been noticing lately since the COVID thing happened, or I'm sorry, am I not supposed to say it? Ever since the virus happened, that a lot of people started looking at a Breadman's life video. I've had a lot of views and I've had a lot of comments and a lot of questions about that one. So today is kind of a Q&A on that. I've had a few conversations with people over the phone regarding that. One gentleman that I can think of was in New York. We talked for probably about an hour about bread routes and cookie routes and such. But today I got all the stuff together for all of the comments and questions that I have not answered. And I do apologize for all of you from back in like June that I never did answer. So I'm just going to go down the list and answer these questions as best that I can. And you can comment and question below. You can email me at the number one, SouthernBubba@gmail.com. If you have any other questions or if you would like to speak to me directly, I'll try to answer as many of your questions as I can. But let me go ahead and get into it. Again, thank you guys, everybody that enjoyed and that commented on that Breadman's life video. I was just giving everybody a insight into what it's like to be in my eyes, a bread man. It's not as easy as everybody thinks it is, because the biggest thing I've heard throughout the years is, oh, it's a loaf of bread. How hard can it be? Yeah, well, you've seen the video. You can see some of the comments of the people have told you just how hard it can be. And I've got one guy in here that will vouch for that, and I'm going to bring him up in just a little bit. I'm going to try not to make this video real long, but we'll see what happens. Because y'all know, I can kind of go off on a tangent. But anyway, here we go on the first one. This one was from June 21st of 2020. And I believe the user was building, I guess that is routes, or just building routes. Sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting. But he was asking, how much do I earn? He is looking at a Pepperidge Farm route for $170,000, making roughly $7,000 weekly, and I'm assuming that's gross with the amount of the purchase price. So I would say that is $7,000 in gross sales, and he asks, is it worth it? Okay, well, just my experience with a Pepperidge Farm route, when I was looking at buying one a little over a year ago, right about the time I made the Breadman's video, or Breadman's Life video last year. For $170,000, you're going to take roughly the average weekly sales and multiply it by 20. So you're looking at about $140,000, because that would give you a 20-to-1 ratio on the route. Well, obviously this one is a little higher. He didn't specify whether it was a bread route or if it was a cookie route. Cookie routes do have a higher selling ratio. They're typically around, they can go anywhere from like 23 to like 29 to 1, just depending on where in the country you are. I've also heard them going in the 30s to 1 up like towards the New England area. But I did this on, I used a mortgage calculator to give you an idea of whether it is worth it. Okay, I put in for $170,000 on just a regular mortgage calculator, and I put it at 5%. It's usually in between about 5 to 7% as of when I was looking. So interest rates might be lower now because mortgage is at historic lows right now. So I don't know if these would reflect the same as mortgage rates or not. Typically, Pepperidge Farm requires you to put 20% down. So I put that in, and it comes up to $1,797 a month that you would have to pay for the route. Okay? So let's just make it good, even round numbers, make it $1,800 a month. Well, that sounds like a lot, because that particular loan is not a 30-year loan like a home. They base their routes on 10-year terms. So $7,000 a week in your gross sales, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't know whether to do this on cookies or bread. Okay, I'm just going to do it on the cookies because they have a higher price point, but I need to change. Actually, I'm not going to do it on that. I'm going to go ahead and do it on bread, because it is, I think this might be a bread route. So that number is going to be wrong. Or no, the $1,797 is correct, but $7,000 times 0.2, which would be 20%, is about average on a bread route. The cookie routes do a little bit higher. So that equals $1,400 a month. And then you do that times 4. So you're looking at about $5,600 a month. Well, what you're going to have to figure out in that is you're going to have to take out any truck payment for that route you're going to have. You have to take your route payment out, which we know is like $1,800. You're going to have insurance for that vehicle. You're going to have, I believe Pepperidge Farm charges like administrative fees, but for the life of me, I can't remember what they are. There is, you got to pay your taxes out of that. You're going to have to pay your fuel out of that. You're also going to have to put your bills in and see if it is worth it for your particular situation. I don't know your bills. I mean, you could have a $3,000 a month mortgage. I have no idea. So this is where you can start from and see if that route is actually worth it. Like I said, this guy put this in almost 5 months ago, because today is November 11th. So I do apologize for getting back to you so late. That was my fault. I just haven't been keeping up with this. And his other question was, how much do I earn? Well, when I left Flowers Baking Company, when I sold my route, my last day was August 5th of 2017. So from January until August 5th, I had grossed, I think it was about $77,000, something like that. But I also was one of the few, my route was paid for, and so was my truck. I didn't have any of those payments, so I had a small route. I could have made a lot more money if I would have had a bigger route, but I had a smaller route, and because I didn't want to work as hard as I did in years past, so I chose to have a smaller route and sold off a bunch quite a few years ago. So let me move on to the next one. This is on July 30th. This was Joe Mendoza. He was asking me about a company called Alpha Baking Company. I cannot say a thing about them, Joe, because I have never heard of them. And it said, and you put on here that they run Krispy Kreme and Gonella, Rosen's, and Natural Oven. The only one I've heard of out of those 4 was Krispy Kreme, because I don't live too far from Krispy Kreme's headquarters. Thank you, because they're better than Dunkin'. But sorry, Joe, I cannot speak for that company, because I don't know the reputation. I've never actually heard of them, so I do apologize. Okay, go to this one here. This gentleman's name goes by Sir Drew, and he came in with this message on September 28th, so a little over about a month and a half ago. And he asks, let's see, I'll just read you what he put. Great video with a good insight of the food distribution business. I am considering purchasing a mission route. Would you happen to know more about this company? I've been doing some research, and I was leaning towards Flowers bread route in Northern California, but when I came across how the drivers were treated at Flowers bread versus Mission Route has a better reputation for helping their drivers grow and expand their route. Would you happen to say this is true in most cases? in the experiences that I have, I only really know one Missions tortilla route guy. He is a great guy. I'll just say his name is Jamie. I've known Jamie for a long time. He loves it. And I want to say he did do another route before that, and he really liked the Missions. I never hear him talk bad about that company. They've always done what they need to help him. And like you said, that they help grow and expand your route. I've heard that with them. Flowers, on the other hand, I don't want to talk too bad, but Flowers will help you grow, but at a cost. They like to have a lot of control over your route, even though it's supposedly your business. That term is very loose because it's not really. You're an employee that pays the bills is the way I've always described it. And I pulled almost 14 years with that company. So I know. I was there. I was in the trenches with them for a long time. And I can't say that I've seen it get better, because I have spoken to some of the guys that I know, and they have told me that it's still not better. There's still, if you look on LinkedIn, there's a guy named Ron. I can't think of his last name. He sells a lot of routes. He does Flowers. He does Bimbo, which is BBU. He does, I've seen him do Missions routes, Pepperidge Farm, cookie routes I've seen on there. He specializes in routes. Look at the number one route that is for sale on his site or on LinkedIn, and it's Flowers bread routes. There's a reason for it. I still hear it a lot from the people that they're very intrusive in their business. They still do a lot of threats. They constantly change things, and it cuts the distributor's money. And I'm not going to get into that on this video. If you guys want any more in-depth stuff on the intricacies of things that happen within routes, and please comment below, and I'll do my best to do a video for you. Okay, let me finish what he was talking about here. And where was I at? Okay, also, is the process of picking your order up at Missions Tortilla easier than the Flowers bread meeting at the beginning of the day or towards the end of the day? Sir Drew, I can't answer that. I've never been to a Missions Tortilla warehouse. I don't know how they work. I would imagine that they probably pick up for enough for like 3 days, I would imagine. Because they have such a longer shelf life than bread does. I mean, I don't know how much longer, but I would think that they don't pick up every day. So I can't answer that because I don't know. I could possibly find out from Jamie. I'm sure he would tell me. So if you want any more information on that, let me know in the comments below, and I will call him and I will find out from him the way their process is. Because like I said, I've never been there, I've never done it, so I cannot answer that question honestly. Okay, from what I know, Flowers Bread has the drivers pick out their order from the warehouse. Does Mission Route usually simplify this for their drivers, or have the order pulled and ready? Would greatly appreciate it if you could answer these questions for me, and if I could reach out to you in some way for some opinion or advice. Thank you, SouthernBubba. Again, I can't answer that in full because I don't know. I just know the way that Flowers does it here. When your bread comes from the bakery, they ship it to your warehouse, and they have what we call shippers. A couple of guys that are in there, they unload the 18-wheeler by stacks that are like 8.5 foot tall, and they break it down by route according to that stack. And then they'll take when they have a full stack for a route, they'll push it next to their door, and then just keep doing that until they empty all the trucks that come in. And then the driver comes in the morning, and then he will check off his load to make sure it's all there. And then he will go and he will separate it by grocery store, restaurant, daycare, school, whatever he may have on his particular route. So I don't know if Missions does that. I would think that they do not, but I do not know. So thanks for the comment, Sir Drew, and we'll says I wrote down that I responded back to you, but maybe this was a little bit more in depth. So let me move on to the next one. This is a guy that sent me this message on September 30th, so I'm close to Sir Drew's, and he goes by DB Cooper. That's funny, DB Cooper. All right, he sent me 2 separate messages, and oh, you'll like this. Remember when I was telling you about how hard the job is on bread routes? Okay, you'll like this. This is from DB Cooper. He says, I ran a bread route for 33 years in Orrin wheat. Not sure what that is. It was hell. Nobody knows all the work that went into it. I started out in 1977 and I had a ghetto route in Los Angeles, all mom and pops. That, for those of you that don't know, mom and pop stores. Working in South Central LA was very stressful. All my friends and family had no idea what I was up against all those years. Then he sent me a second message, and this is the one that I want you guys to think about when you do this job. Because when you get into the bread business, you see that money coming, and you want to take it, and you want to take as much as you can. But it doesn't come without a price. And here's what DB Cooper said. Since I retired, I have had 2 hip replacements, and now I need major foot surgery. In 1985 and 89, I had knee operations. In 1997, I was hit by a forklift and had major back injury. I love being retired with a great pension, but it came with a very large price tag. Just thought I would give you a little tip. So just for all of you, granted we can take that forklift out because typically you don't deal with forklifts with the bread business. But in my 14 years, and I do not have a big frame to myself. I'm more on the small side. I'm tall, but I'm kind of small framed. It is rough on your body to do this job. And when you do it 7 days a week, it's rough on you. It really is rough on you. Now that I've been out for almost 3.5 years, it bothers me because I don't do that stuff anymore. So when I do something strenuous, it really hurts me, and it takes me a while to get over it because I did so much damage to myself earlier in my life. And also, the newer guys, especially with flowers, have got a little bit easier. They all got these nice brand new trucks that's got these lift gates on the back of them. Well, that's really nice. I didn't have that luxury. And I could have got one, but I wanted a paid off truck. I was chasing that money. I had a truck, no lift gate, no ramp on the back of it. It was just a roll-up door. You've probably still seen some of these potato chip vans where they got the sliding door on the one side at the front for them to get out. It's all one piece. That's basically what I had. It was a van. So I had to drop it down either by hand or use my hand truck and drop the whole stack off the back. And that's what really took its toll on me. So let me go on to the next one. Let's see, October 1st, there was a Shannon Kingston that got in touch with me. I don't know if that's a guy or a girl, so could be either. But they ask, why is it not worth it to hire someone to load and deliver? And pay, okay, I'll go with that one first. Okay, you can do that, but if you own multiple routes, this is where it can get hairy. You run a route, but you own 2 routes. You pay somebody to do it. Well, if they call out sick, how are you going to get the route run? So that's something you need to think about. If you have somebody running your route, there's not enough profit margin after you pay them and pay the truck payment, the route payment and everything, for you to really make any money. The only thing that you're going to build is equity in the route. They're going to be paying your equity for you. That's really mostly what you're going to get out of it. As far as an income to live on, nah, you can forget it. Unless if you have like 6 routes, you could probably make an income that way. And then you just be the floater that would fill in for when people want vacations or somebody's sick. You go and work that particular route for that day or for that week, and you're the owner. So, but I would not recommend owning multiple routes. I was going to do it years ago, but I'm glad I got talked out of that a long time ago. It's a big headache. Something else Shannon asks, and pay someone to do pull-ups. If you can afford it, absolutely. Pay somebody to do your pull-ups. I worked 7 days a week for years, delivering 5 days, and then I pulled my own stores. I wish I would have never done that. The last probably 2.5 years I was there, maybe 3 years, I had a good friend of mine that used to work with me at Flowers. I paid him to do it. He needed the money. I wanted the time off. You have got to get some time off from this job. If you don't, it will destroy you. You need that time off. So if you can pay somebody to pull your stores, do it. Let me rephrase that. Let me say it again. Do it. Your body will thank you, and so will your wife and kids. Just a heads up. Also said about making your, I'm guessing they're saying about the someone that you hire, making them responsible for any returns if you over ordered or it's slow. That's the nature of the beast. It happens. If you got somebody brand new on the route that's never done it before, they're going to either order way too little or way too much. Everybody goes through that learning curve, no matter what route you're on. If you've had one route for 5 years and then you go and buy another route and you start running that one, guess what? You're going to either be short or you're going to be heavy, because every route is completely different. So that's just the nature of the beast. You're going to have slow times where you over order, or it's just the way it is. And you have to work that out with your particular employee on how, if they're the ones doing the order, well then you have to work it out to where if you order over so much, whatever, I'm going to charge you for this because they're charging me. But if you're the owner and you're making the order, you shouldn't charge your driver because he had nothing to do with it. He's just simply running the route for you. So I hope that answers your question, Shannon. And then we have John C. that came in on October 3rd of 2020. Said he's been doing this since he was a kid. Parents owned a Pepperidge Farm route. He bought a Flowers route, now owns a Bimbo route, or for people that have been in the business, BBU. He likes the BBU or the Bimbo route much better. I'm sorry, let me pronounce that correctly. It's not Bimbo, it's Bimbo, as in Beembo. Bimbo is how it's pronounced. The routes are combo routes now, and he only has 2 stops. This fella is from Florida. It's a lot easier on your body, and I do agree with that. I have a friend that used to work with me at Flowers. He left this area, and him and his wife moved to Florida. He now has a Bimbo route. He only has 2 or 3 stops, and he does an ungodly amount of business. Last I heard, he was doing like $15,000 a week, and you do 20% of that. I mean, that's pretty good money for only 2 stops a day. I mean, if I was willing to get back into the bread business, I would consider a BBU route, just because they do have such few stops now, where they used to have a lot of stops, because all the breads that Bimbo carries now used to be 3 different companies. One of them was George Weston Bakeries, which is the one that does Thomas's English Muffins, and Arnold Bread, Entenmann's, and then they also Bimbo bought Sara Lee, which is part of the was part of the Sara Lee division, and then they also have the Bimbo goods. So there's a lot of things in there that have to be able to make the route smaller and more manageable, but they still do really good business. Okay, this is the last one, and this one's going to take a little bit, and I'm sorry this video is running so long. But this is from a Shandy Victory. And they have about 19 questions here, so I'm going to try to do these fairly quickly. And so let me go with number 1. Do you still own a route? No, I do not. I said that a little bit earlier. My last day on my route was August 5th of 2017. How many days a week did I work? Did you work weekends? As I stated a few minutes ago, I did work 7 days a week, delivered 5, pulled on 2. So yes, I did work weekends because our delivery days were were for me Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you pulled up on Wednesday and Sundays. So yes, I did work weekends, but towards the end, I only worked on my delivery days, and that was it. Did you make enough in your first year to get by, or enough to be able to afford to buy a house or pay off credit card debts? In all honesty, when I got into the business back in '04, I believe it was, I barely made enough money between me and my wife to pay our bills because I was brand new to the route. Business was not as big back then as it is now. I had one of the worst routes because it was the only one available at the time. So the first year to a year and a half was really rough on me and, well, now my ex-wife. What was your gross versus net income for the first year? Oh, goodness gracious. I cannot answer that because I don't remember. It's been too long ago. I just remember my first year, or wait a minute, I remember. My first year I think I grossed $33,000 my first year, and that was from like the beginning of April to the end of the year. So, I mean, it wasn't much back then in '04. How many accounts did my route have? Okay, well, it fluctuates because you can lose some, gain some, you can sell off. I'm going to go off the route that I had for the longevity of my bread career, which was, I had that route for almost 12 years. It started out with 5 grocery stores, and I had I think like 5 or 6 restaurants, something like that. Well, then it grew and it grew, business grew, area grew. I got I don't know, you remember when Hostess International went out of business? Well, Hostess also was a bread company that carried the Merita bread name, it carried Beech Nut, and there was like 6 other brand names. Wonder Bread was one of them. Well, they were one of the big ones in our area, and we picked up almost every restaurant, school, and everything else, convenience store that they had. My route almost overnight went up 40%. And I think on my long days, I had something like 28 stops on those long days. So, but later on I sold off, and that's the size of my route was when I sold it and got out of the business, which it only had 4 grocery stores at the time and about 7 restaurants, I think is what it was. Okay, what was the weekly average per week did you make, specifically profit? It varies a little bit because different types of the week or different times of the year you make better during the week. Like every bread guy knows that July 4th is the busiest week of the year. It's just the way it is. But on average, I would probably say I was grossing, after having a paid off route, paid off truck, I was grossing, depending on the week, anywhere from like $900 to about $1,200 a week. That was before taxes, so you still have to take that out. What was my weekly expenses? Mine were very cheap because I had no truck payment, no route payment. It was all paid off when I left. I think I was paying $80 a week or something like that. And that was just for administrative, warehouse rent, and a couple other things. I think it was on average about 60 or about $80 a week, I think is what I was paying. What type of insurance do you need? Well, you got to have truck insurance, of course, and Flowers required us to have $1 million insurance policy with our truck that also had a inland marine clause in it that would cover you inside the store too, of any falls. If you leave some empty trays and somebody falls over them, you would have the insurance for that. I highly recommend shopping around for your insurance though, because you can get it cheaper. Let's see, how does the selling price of the route get determined? It typically goes, if you hear somebody selling a route for 15 to 1, 20 to 1, that means that they're taking the average weekly sales over a 1-year period. So they're averaging out 52 weeks, and just say you're averaging $10,000 a week. So if they're selling at 15 to 1, you multiply that by 15. So now you're talking $150,000 for the route. So, or 20 to 1 would be $200,000 for an average $10,000 a week route. Everybody does theirs differently. So you have to look into that. Do you have to pay for inventory or purchase product up front? Okay. How it works theoretically is when you have all your bread by your door every morning, you are charged for that bread in the morning. Okay. You bought it theoretically. Well, then as you charge it out during the day, you now pass that bill on to grocery store, restaurant, whatever. So your whole point or your whole goal for the day is to take that, say, $4,000 load you have for today and shrink it down to where you have nothing left on your truck. So theoretically, you bought $4,000 worth of bread in the morning and then you sold all $4,000 by the end of the day. Not everybody gets it all gone every day. If you have any inventory left over at the end of the week, say you got $200 in inventory left, well, that gets charged, that gets taken out of your paycheck to give back to the company for the week. And then it just, but if you keep a rolling total, it's only going to hurt you the first week. So I hope that answers that question for you. Do you have to sign a contract? Oh, absolutely yes, you have to sign a contract. And I cannot say this enough, get a lawyer to look at it. Make sure you do that. What are the qualification requirements? Every company's different. Main things are is a good driving record, good criminal record, good credit record, and pass a drug test in the beginning. I don't know if they still do the drug test or not. When I got hired, I was a temp employee until I bought the route. I don't think they do that anymore, so I think the drug test requirement is gone because they can't test you on something that you own. So I believe that's gone. So I think it's just credit, your driving record, and your criminal record. And if you can come up with the down payment. Do I get paid full commission on it when something goes on sale? Flowers does not. You have what they call price allowances. When they put something on sale, they lower the price and it gets taken out of your gross load for the week. So yes, you at Flowers, you help pay for that promotion. Pepperidge Farm bread does not do that. If they put a bread on sale, the company eats it. Now, other bread companies like Bimbo, I'm not sure if they do that or not. I cannot remember. So if you're looking into that, you can talk to a local BBU guy and they could tell you. What is required in order to qualify for purchase? Well, it's kind of the same question as what qualification requirements are there. So I'll leave you with that one. Would you prefer owning a route for Mission Tortilla or Pepperidge Farm? Which is more demanding? I am going to say Pepperidge Farm bread route is going to be more demanding. Bread routes are probably the most demanding routes out there. Now the cookie route, I'm not sure. I would think that they're not that bad, but Mission's Tortilla, I hardly ever hear of any of those guys getting in trouble or getting phone calls because it's not so much a staple and you can put a ton more of those on the shelf than you can bread. Now, which would I prefer owning? I don't know. I don't know enough about the Pepperidge Farm cookies or the Mission's Tortillas to really be able to say. I don't mind Pepperidge Farm bread routes. I've done them. But I don't really want to do a route at all anymore. Looking to purchase a $278,500 route that averages $6,513, a good idea. After everything, how much profit do you think I would make weekly? On that purchase price, I would not buy that route. No way I would pay that much money and only gross $6,500 a week. Absolutely not. I would not pay that. I think that's way too high for that little bit of sales. If that route was doing $9,000 to $12,000, I would say it's probably worth it. But I would not pay that much for it. There's no way in the world I'd pay that much. I mean, and you're looking at 20% down. You're looking at over $50,000 that you're going to have to put down. on that route. So it's up to you. Me, I wouldn't pay for it. That's too high. What is the percentage I would need to put down if the selling price is $278.5? Well, like I said, typically on Pepperidge Farm, I believe it's 20%. So you can do the math. What else should I know? I have no idea. Just if you have any more questions, put them down below, and I'll make another video like this, and I'll send it out, and that way I'll answer them there. Because I could sit here and talk to you folks for hours about this. I do know a lot about the route business because I was in it for so long, and when you're in the route business, you talk to other route guys, you learn other routes, you learn other companies, you learn the way they do things, you know which companies to stay away from. So it just depends on your threshold, for lack of better terms. It depends on your threshold of BS is on which company you could go for. If you have a very high tolerance, by all means go to Flowers. If you don't go to Flowers. I'm telling you now. And I don't mean to be that way towards them, but I experienced it for years. If you're one that has your feelings hurt very easily, or if you're very entrepreneurial minded, like such as myself, where you like to run your business the way you want to run it, as long as you stay within the guidelines, because basically buying a bread route is buying a franchise. As long as you can run it to the way you like, that's easier for you, and can deal with other people trying to run your business, by all means go to Flowers. But if you can't do that, or like I said, you have sensitive feelings, don't buy a Flowers route, because they're going to walk all over you. I know a couple people that I'm really surprised they're still there, because they're kind of soft-hearted people, and they can get their feelings hurt pretty easily. You have to have you have to have thick skin to do this job. And I've always said this, and it sounds funny, and it kind of is, but I say you have to be a special kind of stupid to do a bread man's job. And it's true, and every bread guy will agree with that. You have to be a special kind of person to do it. It's not for everybody. But guys, I hope I answered your questions. That's all I've got. I have no more. So if you have any more, like I said, put them down below. And when I get enough of them, I'll do another video like this. Or if you want me to expand over into some other routes, maybe maybe this will turn into kind of like my version of Micro's Dirty Jobs or something. So guys, I enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking in with me for this long, because I'm looking on the camera right now. It's got about 39 minutes, and I do apologize for it being this long. So thank you for all of the views that you've given me on this video, and I never expected for it to be the way that it did, as many views as that it's gotten. So thank you very much for that. And if you think that these videos will help anybody else, hey, share them, pass them on. I'll see if I can help them with anything I can. So everybody, it was great to be back to see all of you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do it now. It doesn't cost you anything. So with that being said, guys, y'all take it easy. God bless. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you on the next one.